All right, here's your key point one says expanded into an 800-word, seamless, conversational speech segment, written as if Matthew Hussey were delivering it live, keeping it confident, engaging, and in sync with your other points. When it comes to riding a guy in a way that absolutely blows his mind, here's the first thing I want you to know. It's not about having some secret physical move that no one else knows. It starts so much earlier than that. It starts before you even touch him. It starts in you. It's about the way you carry yourself, the energy you bring into the room, and the confidence you radiate the moment you take the lead. Most people think that confidence is something you're either born with or you're not, like an eye color or a talent for singing. But confidence is built. It's something you choose moment after moment. When you're with someone, they feel the difference between you doing something from a place of insecurity, worried about whether you're doing it right, and you doing something from a place of, I know I'm worth being here. I know I'm attractive. I know I'm in control. Think about it. If you walk into a room and see someone who looks completely relaxed, who's smiling like they know a delicious secret, who's comfortable in their own skin, you can't help but be drawn in. The same thing applies when you're in that intimate moment on top of a guy. You're not just a body moving on a body. You're an experience. You're a story unfolding in real time. So, what does that look like in practice? It means not rushing. It means taking a second before you even start moving to own that space. Look at him in the eyes. Let there be silence for a beat. That pause says, I'm not in a hurry. I'm in charge of how this goes. That alone can drive someone wild because most people don't have the courage to do it. They're too busy filling the silence, rushing through the moment, or trying to perform instead of connecting. Confidence is also about feeling comfortable in your body as it is right now, not as you think it should be. He's already chosen to be with you. He's already drawn to you. That means the game is already won before it even starts. So why waste your mental energy worrying about how your stomach looks or if your thighs are at the perfect angle when you could be focusing on the connection you're creating? I want you to remember something. Confidence is contagious. When you feel it, he feels it. If you're sitting there thinking, I'm sexy, I'm powerful, I'm enjoying myself, he starts to feel exactly the same way about you. And more than that, he relaxes into the moment too, because your energy tells him, you're in good hands. Now, confidence doesn't mean arrogance. This isn't about thinking, I don't need to care what he wants, or I'm the only one in this moment who matters. It's actually the opposite. When you feel secure in yourself, you're more tuned into him. You're more aware of his reactions because you're not distracted by your own self-doubt. That makes you a better lover, a better partner in that moment because you can actually be present. And let's be real, presence is incredibly rare. How often do we actually feel like someone is there with us, not just going through the motions? Presence comes from slowing down, breathing, noticing the micro reactions. The way his breath catches when you change the angle slightly. The way his hands move on your hips when you lean forward. All of those little cues guide you, but you can only read them if you're calm enough and confident enough to pay attention. Here's another thing. Confidence is playful. It's not stiff or mechanical. It's allowing yourself to smile mid-movement because you're enjoying it. It's teasing him by slowing down right when he's not expecting it. It's being able to laugh if something awkward happens instead of letting it pull you out of the moment. That playfulness keeps it light, and paradoxically, it makes the intense moments even more intense because they're balanced by the fun. If you struggle with confidence in this area, one of the easiest ways to start is by shifting your focus from, am I doing this right? To, am I enjoying this? Pleasure is magnetic. If you're genuinely feeling good, it shows. The way your body moves changes. The sounds you make change. Even the way you look at him changes. That's the stuff he remembers. I've had people tell me before, but what if I don't feel confident naturally? That's okay. Confidence doesn't mean you have to feel confident every second. It means you decide to show up that way. You act it out until your body catches up with your brain. Think of it like trying on a jacket that feels a little big at first. You wear it long enough, and eventually, it starts to fit like it was made for you. So, when you're on top, remember, you're not there to pass a test. You're there to lead an experience. That mindset shift changes everything. It changes how you move, how you breathe, how you look at him, and even how you end the moment. Because at the end of the day, confidence isn't about perfection. It's about presence, playfulness, and the certainty that you deserve to take up space in that moment. And once you own that, every move you make feels effortless. And that's when you're already halfway to driving him crazy. Before you've even really started. All right? Here's your key point 2S expanded into an 800-word natural flowing speech segment in that live stage, engaging style you're aiming for. Once you've got that foundation of confidence, the next piece of this puzzle is understanding the power of position. And when I say position, I don't just mean the basic mechanics of where you're sitting. I mean the entire range of ways you can use your body to completely shift the sensation, the energy, and even the dynamic between you and him. One of the biggest mistakes people make when they get on top is thinking they only have one or two moves available to them. They find the one position that feels comfortable or familiar, and they stay there, almost like they're playing it safe. But here's the thing. Variety is what turns a good experience into an unforgettable one. It's the changes that keep him hooked, keep him wondering what's coming next, and keep the physical sensations unpredictable enough to be addictive. Think of it like this. If you went to your favorite restaurant and they served you the exact same dish in the exact same way every single time, it might still be good, but it wouldn't make you lean forward in excitement the way you do when there's something new on the plate. Changing your position is the equivalent of bringing out a surprise course halfway through the meal. And here's where the magic is. Sometimes the smallest change can make the biggest difference. You don't have to switch into something acrobatic. Just leaning forward so your chest is closer to his completely changes the angle and pressure. Shifting your knees slightly wider or narrower changes the way your hips move. Even rotating your hips in a circular motion instead of a straight up and down rhythm can completely transform the sensation for both of you. The beauty of being on top is that you're in control of these adjustments. You can slow them down, speed them up, test what feels best, and keep adapting based on how he reacts. And the reactions. That's where you find your guidance. If his breathing deepens, if his hands grip you tighter, if his body tenses in a certain way, that's your green light that you've just hit on something amazing. Now, it's not just about changing the air's angle, it's also about changing the air's energy of the position. Sometimes you might want to be fully upright, almost like you're putting yourself on display, owning the space with this bold, commanding presence. Other times, you might want to lean down so you're close enough for whispered words or for him to feel your breath, which instantly shifts things into a more intimate, connected space. Those two positions alone can feel like completely different experiences, even if you haven't moved your legs an inch. Don't underestimate side-to-side movements either. We tend to think of intimacy as this straight line of motion, but your hips are capable of so much more. A slow, grinding sway can create a deep, lingering build-up that's as much about the tease as it is about the destination. And when you follow that up with a quicker, more focused movement, the contrast makes it all the more intense. One of the most underrated aspects of position changes is what it does for you. Certain angles will make it easier for you to enjoy the moment physically, and the more you're enjoying yourself, the more natural your movements will feel. That authenticity, the fact that you're clearly in pleasure, is incredibly attractive. So, in experimenting with different positions, you're not just doing him a favor, you're increasing your own enjoyment too, which doubles the chemistry in the room. Now, here's the important part. You don't need to plan this like a choreographed routine. This isn't about memorizing a sequence of moves. It's about listening to the moment and giving yourself permission to explore. You might start upright, lean forward for closeness, shift your knees, add a twist, and then go back upright again. It's not about how many positions you try. It's about creating a flow that feels organic and keeps both of you locked in. If you're not used to changing positions often, you might feel a little self-conscious at first. That's natural. But remember, you're not interrupting the moment. You are the moment. If you move with intention, with that same confidence we talked about earlier, he's not thinking, why is she changing positions? He's thinking, I can't wait to see what she's going to do next. Sometimes, the sexiest shift is the simplest one. A slow roll of your hips, a subtle repositioning of your thighs, the way you slide your hands up his chest as you change your angle. Every one of those moments is an opportunity to add layers of sensation and anticipation. And here's the best part. Experimenting with position gives you a secret advantage. It puts you in this role of discovery where you're both finding out together what works best, and that creates a shared experience. It stops being a performance and starts being an exploration. That's when it stops feeling routine and starts feeling like something new every single time. Because when you learn how to use position like that, to create contrast, to increase your own pleasure, to control the pace and intensity, you stop just riding him, and you start taking him somewhere he's never been before. Here's your key point 3's expanded into an 800-word natural flowing speech segment delivered in that live, engaging, confident style too. One of the fastest ways to take an experience from good to unforgettable is by mastering rhythm and tempo changes. Most people think the goal is to just find a speed or a movement that works and stick with it, but that's actually the quickest way to make something feel predictable. Predictable might be comfortable, but it's not what sends someone over the edge. What really drives someone wild is the unexpected. That moment when they think they've got you figured out, and then you switch it up completely. Think about music for a second. If a song stayed at the exact same beat and tempo the whole time, it would get boring fast. The best songs build, they drop, they slow down, they speed up. They take you on a journey. You can feel the tension rising, you can feel the anticipation, and when the beat finally hits harder, it's way more satisfying because you've been waiting for it. That's exactly how rhythm and tempo work in intimacy. When you're on top, you have this incredible power to set that beat. You're the DJ, the conductor, the one who decides when things get slow and deep, and when they explode into something faster and more intense. And here's where most people miss the point. It's not just about going fast or slow. It's about knowing when to go fast and when to deliberately hold back. Slowing things down can be just as powerful, sometimes even more powerful, than speeding them up. When you slow your movements, especially if you've been going at a quicker pace, you create this delicious frustration. It's like giving him exactly what he wants, but making him wait for it. That teasing element keeps him hooked in a way that relentless speed never could. And it's not just about teasing him. It's about giving yourself control over the build-up. If you go full throttle too early, you burn through all the intensity in the first few minutes. But if you pace it, layering the experience, you're building towards something much bigger. You're giving the moment room to breathe, to build, to become something that neither of you wants to end. A great trick here is to think in waves. Start with a slow, steady rhythm to get connected and grounded. Then, gradually increase your speed or intensity, but don't stay at the top for too long. Drop back down to something slower, almost lazy, then build again. Each time you come back to the peak, it feels more intense because of the contrast. You're creating a pattern of anticipation and release, which is exactly what our brains and bodies crave. Another thing to remember is that your rhythm doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, it shouldn't be. Tiny pauses, small shifts, those moments where you catch your breath, they make the experience feel human, alive, and unpredictable. If everything is perfectly mechanical, it starts to feel like a routine instead of a shared moment. Part of mastering rhythm and tempo changes is also reading his body language. If he's breathing faster, if his hands are gripping you harder, if his hips start to rise to meet yours, those are signs that your rhythm is working and he's right there with you. That's the perfect time to either push things further or deliberately pull back to make him want it even more. And let's not forget, rhythm isn't just in your hips. You can use your whole body to create tempo changes. The way you lean in close, the way your chest presses against him for a few slow movements, then the way you pull back and straighten up for a more open, commanding pace. That's rhythm too. It's the rhythm of your presence, not just your movement. The real beauty of playing with rhythm is that it turns the experience into a conversation without words. You're speaking through pace, through motion, through the pauses between the movements. You're saying, "Oh, I know exactly what I'm doing," without ever having to say it out loud. If you really want to drive him crazy, use rhythm to build suspense. Pick a tempo that's clearly leading somewhere. Faster, harder, more focused. And right when you feel him starting to get carried away, slow it down. Hold his eyes when you do it. Let him see that you're in complete control of the ride. That moment will etch itself in his memory because it's not just physical, it's psychological. You've just shown him you can give or take away pleasure on your terms, and that's intoxicating. Here's the thing, most people rush. They think the goal is to get to the peak as quickly as possible. But the truth is, the magic isn't just in the climax, it's in the lead up. If you can master that, if you can make the entire journey addictive through changes in rhythm and tempo, then the peak becomes almost inevitable. And when it finally comes, it will be 10 times more powerful because of the build-up you created. So don't be afraid to slow it down when you feel tempted to speed up. Or don't be afraid to suddenly shift into a new tempo when he's starting to settle into one. Keep him guessing, keep him hanging on the edge of what's coming next. And you'll have him hooked in a way he'll never forget. Here's your S key point 4 expanded into an S800-word natural flowing speech segment in that engaging delivery style you're going for. When most people think about riding, they picture it as this one, dimensional movement. Hips going up and down, maybe side to side, if they're feeling adventurous. But that's like playing a piano with only one finger. You're leaving out an entire symphony of possibilities. The truth is, the most unforgettable moments happen when you use your whole body, not just your hips. Your hips are important, sure. They're the engine driving the movement. But what really elevates the experience is when every part of you is working together. Your chest, your back, your thighs, your hands, even the way your head tilts or your hair falls. All of those little details add depth, texture, and emotion to the moment. Let's start with your upper body. The way you position your torso changes the angle, the pressure, and the intimacy instantly. If you lean forward and let your chest get close to his, you're not just changing the physical sensation, you're also creating closeness. It's intimate, it's intense, and it allows you to whisper in his ear, to let him feel your breath on his skin. Then, when you straighten up and sit tall, you create space again. That open posture says, "I'm in control here," and gives him a completely different visual to take in. Your back plays a role too. Arch it and you change the line of your body, making the movement feel deeper and more powerful. Roll your shoulders slightly forward and you soften into a more sensual, swaying motion. Those tiny shifts can completely change what he's feeling, and they add variety without you having to break the flow. Now, your thighs. These are your secret weapon. Most people don't realize just how much power they have in their legs when they're on top. By pressing your thighs in tighter, you can grip him in a way that makes everything feel more snug and intense. By relaxing them, you can create a more fluid, rolling movement. Even just tensing and releasing them in rhythm adds another layer to the sensation. It's like discovering you've been driving a sports car this whole time and you finally start using all the gears. Your hands are part of the story too. Where you place them changes the energy of the moment. When you put them on his chest, you create a grounding point, something steady to move from. It's strong, confident, almost commanding. When you slide them down his arms or lace your fingers with his, you're inviting connection, drawing him into the moment with you. If you place them behind you and lean back slightly, suddenly you've created this open, exposed posture that's both daring and beautiful. Even your head and face matter. The way you look at him, the way your hair falls forward and brushes against him, or the way you tilt your head when you smile, it's all part of the experience. These are the things he remembers, the little snapshots that stick in his mind long after the moment is over. The reason using your whole body is so powerful is because it makes the moment three-dimensional. Instead of it being just about friction or speed, it becomes a full sensory experience. He's feeling different angles, seeing different visuals, hearing your breathing change as you move. Every sense is engaged. And when you engage all the senses, you take the experience out of autopilot and make it something unforgettable. It also frees you up creatively. When you're not locked into just your hips, you can mix movements in ways that keep things fresh. You can grind your hips slowly while letting your chest move in a gentle circle. You can lift and drop your hips while leaning forward, then roll them while sitting upright. You can even stop moving your hips for a moment and let your thighs, your hands, or your upper body take over the rhythm. That unpredictability is what keeps him hooked. And here's something a lot of people overlook. When you use your whole body, you're actually taking care of yourself too. Relying only on your hips can be tiring really quickly, and you can lose stamina before the moment reaches its peak. But when you distribute the work, letting your thighs, core, and upper body share the load, you can keep going comfortably for longer. That means you have more time to play, to experiment, to build tension without burning out. It's also more pleasurable for you. By shifting your posture, adjusting your legs, or moving your upper body, you can find angles that work better for your own enjoyment. And when you're feeling more, you move differently, more naturally, more instinctively. That energy translates to him, and it becomes this feedback loop where you're both feeding off each other's pleasure. Think about it like dancing. If you only move one part of your body, it looks stiff and mechanical. But when your whole body is in it, your arms, your shoulders, your torso, your legs, it's magnetic. You can't look away from someone who's fully embodied in what they're doing. That's what you're aiming for in this moment. Not just movement, but presence. And presence isn't just physical. It's emotional. When you use your whole body, you're more expressive. You're telling a story with every shift and every curve. You're not just giving him a physical ride. You're giving him an experience he can feel in his mind and his memory. Because when you start riding with your whole body, not just your hips, you stop being part of the moment. You've become the moment. Here's your S key point 5000 expanded into an as 800-word natural, live, style speech segment in line with your previous ones. Hugh, one of the most underestimated tools you have when you're on top is connection. Not just physical connection, but eye contact and communication. And I'm not talking about turning it into some long, awkward staring contest. I'm talking about using your eyes and your words to lock him into the moment with you, so it becomes more than just a physical act. When you're on top, you have a unique advantage. You can see him. You can see every change in his expression, every flicker of reaction, every breath he takes. And he can see you. That means you have this constant flow of feedback if you're paying attention. Eye contact is the bridge for that feedback. When you hold his gaze at the right moment, you're telling him, without a single word, I'm right here with you. I'm in control of this, and I know exactly what I'm doing. Now, it's important to understand that eye contact isn't just about dominance. It's also about intimacy. When you look at him, really look at him, it creates this feeling that the two of you are in your own world. Even if it's just for a second or two, that shared focus deepens the connection instantly. And the thing about intimacy is that it makes everything else feel more intense. The same movement feels twice as powerful if it's happening inside a moment of deep connection. But just like rhythm, eye contact works best in variations. Sometimes you hold it for a few slow movements, making it deliberate, then break it to glance down his body before looking back up. Sometimes you look away entirely for a moment, letting him watch you without you watching him back, then snap your eyes to his again when he least expects it. Those shifts in attention create a push and pull dynamic that's just as exciting as changes in pace or position. Then there's verbal communication. This is where so many people freeze up because they think it has to be something scripted or overly explicit. It doesn't. Communication in the moment can be as simple as saying what you like, asking him what he likes, or letting little reactions slip out naturally. Even something as short as right there or don't move can completely shift the energy. The magic happens when your communication feels like a genuine extension of the moment, not a performance. If something feels good, let him know. If you want him to touch you a certain way, guide him. And remember, it's not just about telling, it's about listening. If he says, that feels amazing, that's your cue to stay there a little longer or lean into whatever you're doing in that exact way. You can also use your voice to tease. Lower it slow it down, and say something that makes him hang on every word. You're not just riding physically, you're riding the mental edge as well. The anticipation you build in his mind can be just as potent as what's happening to his body. One thing to be aware of is that communication is a two-way street. Sometimes you'll be able to read everything you need from his body language without him saying a word. But other times, especially if you're trying something new, it helps to ask. A quick, "Do you like that?" isn't killing the mood, it's actually deepening it, because it shows you care about his experience while still being in charge of your own. And here's where communication and eye contact come together beautifully. You can ask him something while holding his gaze. That combination of words and visual connection adds a level of intensity that's almost impossible to ignore. It tells him that you're not just going through motions, you're fully tuned in, fully present. The truth is, a lot of people think being on top is purely a physical skill, but what separates an okay experience from an incredible one is the emotional and psychological layer you add through connection. Eye contact makes him feel seen. Communication makes him feel understood. Together, they make him feel like he's part of something personal, something more than just a physical release. And it works both ways. When you engage with him like that, you also pull yourself deeper into the moment. You stop worrying about how you look or whether you're doing it right, because you're too busy actually connecting. You're not in your head anymore. You're with him, and that presence is magnetic. One of the most intoxicating things for someone in that position is realizing they're not just feeling pleasure, they're sharing it. They're part of a feedback loop where your reactions feed theirs and theirs feed yours. And that's what eye contact and communication do. They make it a loop instead of two separate experiences happening in parallel. Because when you can look him in the eye and let him hear exactly how much you're enjoying it, and then read his reaction and use it to guide your next move, you're not just riding him. You're making him feel like he's the only person in the world in that moment. And that's something he'll never forget. Here's your F key point 6 expanded into a Azadi's 800-word seamless conversational segment in that confident live delivery style. 2. The final thing I want to talk about is something most people completely overlook: the art of building to the climax. And when I say climax, I don't just mean his. I'm talking about the shared peak of the moment, that point where everything you've done so far comes together and hits at exactly the right time. Most people think the goal is to get there as quickly as possible, but that's like skipping to the last page of a novel. You miss all the tension, all the twists, all the little moments that make the ending satisfying. The truth is, the build is the most important part. Every movement, every change in position, every shift in rhythm we've already talked about, those are all tools you can use to create a gradual rise in intensity. If you start too fast, too hard, you give nowhere to go. But if you build layer by layer, you make every new level feel like a reward. Think about the difference between sipping a drink you've been craving all day and downing it in one gulp. One satisfies you in the moment, the other lets you savor it, drawing out every bit of flavor. That's what a slow build does. It makes every second count. Part of this is about patience. It's tempting to push things forward the moment you feel him getting close, but the real skill is knowing when to hold back. Maybe you're riding him at a pace that's clearly working, and you feel his energy changing. Instead of going harder, you pull back just slightly, not enough to lose the connection, but enough to keep him teetering on that edge. That little bit of denial makes the eventual release so much stronger. The build also works best when you're unpredictable. If he can tell exactly when you're going to change speed or intensity, you lose the element of surprise. Sometimes you want to make him think you're about to take him all the way there, and then slow right down, shift your position, lean in close, and change the energy entirely. It's playful, it's deliberate, and it keeps him locked in. Another thing to remember is that building to the climax isn't just about what your body is doing. It's about what you're giving him in the moment. The way you look at him, the way your voice changes, the sounds you make, the little cues you drop with your touch. These all feed into that build. It's the anticipation you're creating in his head as much as the sensation you're giving his body. And while this build is happening, you're not just leading him there. You're taking yourself there, too. The beauty of pacing the moment is that you have more time to find what's working for you, to shift into positions or rhythms that heighten your own pleasure. That shared intensity is what makes the peak so much more powerful for both of you. When you're both climbing at the same time, the energy between you becomes electric. There's also a certain confidence in not rushing. When you take your time, you're sending the message that you're not desperate to finish. You're in control, and you're enjoying the journey as much as the destination. That's incredibly attractive because it shifts the whole dynamic. It tells him that this is on your terms and that you have the ability to stretch out his pleasure and make him wait for the moment you decide to let him have it. The build is also about awareness. You have to be tuned in enough to know when the moment is ready to tip over into the peak. Sometimes you'll feel it in his breathing, sometimes in the way his hands grab you, sometimes in the way his whole body tenses. When you sense it, you can decide, is now the moment to push over the edge, or do we hold it just a little longer? That decision is where the real artistry comes in. You can give him the release exactly when he wants it, which feels incredible, or you can make him wait until he's almost begging for it, which makes it unforgettable. Either way, you're the one controlling the pace, the one calling the shots, the one deciding when that final rush happens. And when you do finally let it happen, when you match his energy, drive it home with the right rhythm, the right angle, the right intensity, the payoff is explosive. It's not just about that final moment, it's about the journey you took to get there. The teasing, the changes, the connection, the way you pulled back and pushed forward at exactly the right times. That's what makes the ending feel so overwhelming, because in the end, it's not the fact that you got there that makes it unforgettable. It's how you got there and the way you made him feel every step of the way.